You're running for a seat that could decide the balance of power in Washington. What qualifies you to be a U.S. Senator? You have 60 seconds.
Hi, good night, everybody.
Peace.
Political response.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. This is Legitical Response. So the midterm elections are over with. Mostly. Arizona's still counting. Nevada's still counting, which I don't understand how Florida, a bigger state, can count all their ballots in a single night and Arizona can't. But that's not what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about
The elephant in the room. I had a stroke.
We're talking about the Democrats.
We all have to make sure that everyone that works is able to, that's the most American bargain, that if you work full-time, you should be able to live in dignity as well, true. And I believe they haven't have any businesses being you can't have businesses being subsidized by not paying individuals that just simply can't evade to pay their own way.
And the Republicans. It's become clear to me that the Democrats really don't seem to care who the hell they're going to vote for.
That's why I'm asking you to vote for John Fetterman.
But they're going to vote Democrat regardless. They're not going to look at the candidates to see who's a better candidate. Because if they did, they would have probably voted for Oz. They actually voted for somebody who had a stroke and is no longer able to conversate with people.
You'll hear he also still has some problems, some challenges with speech. And I'll say, Katie, that just in some of the small talk prior to the interview, before the closed captioning was up and running, it did seem that he had a hard time understanding our conversations.
There's something very wrong with this. I do not understand why these people would vote this guy in. Why they wouldn't vote for even an independent. You know, if you don't like Dr. Oz, whatever, that's fine. But why vote for somebody who's not capable of doing the job? They had to invent a term to describe this guy.
Clearly, this was a candidate who was feeling stress, and there was such intense scrutiny, often ableist scrutiny, on how he was going to communicate. And he just did a debate in front of, the nation, an audience of anyone who could listen. And it was so transparent. He did fumble. He did make verbal mistakes, and it was all on view.
Ableist. I mean, come on now. Talking about this guy's capability to do a job.
You can count on John Fetterman.
One of the most important jobs in our government.
Make sure he can count on you.
And you're going to come up with a term to make people look bad because they think he's incapable of doing his job because he is incapable of doing his job.
You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, I don't support fracking at all. So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand and I do support fracking.
All this BS needs to stop. There is something very wrong with voting in somebody who's unable to do the job. And I'm going out on a limb and saying he's unable to do the job. He can't even debate. He can't barely talk.
2 days before the Democratic Senate primary in Pennsylvania back in May, staffers for the John Fetterman campaign announced that their candidate had tragically suffered a stroke. But no problem. In a written statement purportedly written by John Fetterman himself from the hospital, Fetterman announced that he was absolutely fine. I'm feeling much better, the statement read. Doctors tell me I didn't suffer any cognitive damage.
I'm running to serve Pennsylvania. He's running to use Pennsylvania. Here's a man that spent more than $20 million of his own money to try to buy that seat. I'm also having to talk about something called the Oz rule, that if he's on TV, he's lying. He did that during his career on his TV show. He's done that during his campaign about lying about our record here. And he's also lying probably during this debate.
What the hell are we doing here? What the hell are y'all doing, Republicans? Y'all need to get y'all's head out of y'all and get it back on top of your neck, because in all honesty, it's embarrassing. Sure, we may have got the House, but we didn't get the Senate, and we didn't get the majority as we should have. 2 years of this Biden administration,
Lying, probably.
and all the bull we've been through, and y'all can't get y'all's act together and get voters to vote for you. They'd rather vote in people that are incapable of doing the job versus Republicans. There's something very wrong with that. But the midterms weren't all bad. Like I said, we got control of the House. And there were quite a few Democratic counties up in New York that flipped, that actually voted Republican, which was very surprising to a whole lot of people. Lee Zeldin did pretty good. He didn't get the governorship, but he was pretty close in New York State. That's crazy to me. New York State hasn't had a Republican governor in like 20-something years. That's several election cycles. And this whole thing in Arizona, I don't know what's going on over there,
Lying, probably.
but we really need to get somebody else in charge of those elections, and that needs to change. I don't live in Arizona, I live in Louisiana, but there's something very wrong with that. If it takes them a week and a half to count ballots, there's something going on right there.
Lying, probably.
I'm not gonna say
Lying, probably.
it's any kind of election fraud. I doubt it. I think they're just understaffed, personally. But that's an easily fixed issue. And they've had this issue for several election cycles. So why haven't they fixed it? This has got me kind of aggravated. We did pretty good in Louisiana. We got all our candidates in that we wanted. We kept John Kennedy, which is my man.
Here's his energy policy: wind, solar, and wishful thinking. And I'm thinking, I respect the president, but honestly, what planet did he parachute in from?
The Republican Party needs to look hard and long at Florida and see what Governor Ron DeSantis did up there, because that was simply amazing what he did in Florida. Marco Rubio got reelected, and he was running in a very Democratic county up there in Florida. I say up there in Florida. It's down there in Florida. It's actually over that way. Yeah, that way. I keep preaching about it. Something's got to change, and we got to change it. We got to get out there and make our voices heard. We can't just sit there and bitch about the Democrats all the time.
Lying, probably.
We have to actually show what we're going to do to change things. We have to show the American people that we can turn this thing around. We can reduce inflation. We can get gas prices back down to normal. We can get all the prices of food and all that stuff back down to normal. There's something has to be done. We can't just keep going on like this. It's not going to work. We're going to burn ourselves out. And somebody really needs to stop the left, because it's tearing this country apart. All they do is divide and conquer. Divide and conquer.
And those extreme positions hurt us all.
That's their job. They want bigger government. They keep pushing this socialist agenda, and it's not a very good idea.
John Fetterman takes everything to an extreme.
They're only going to spark revolution, which can turn easily to violence, and nobody wants violence. The Democrats keep blaming Republicans for being extremists.
How dare they?
Just look at the Democrats. What they're doing in some of these places, it's just nuts.
I call them extremist so-called leaders.
And we need to get the truth out there and show that it's not the Republican Party that's being extreme. It's the damn Democrats.
Because Washington keeps getting it wrong with extreme positions.
But enough bitching at you guys. Well, I'm not bitching at y'all, but enough bitching about the left. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank y'all for watching. And let's get this thing going. Be positive. Peace.